Welcome to From Root to Crown with Rebe Goebel, the podcast where we explore the depths of self-understanding and the mysteries of the universe. I'm Rebe, your guide on this transformative journey. In today's episode, we'll be diving into the wild world of manifestation, offering you insights and tools to lead a more balanced, joyous life. Joining me here today is Timea Urban. She is my Reiki master, my coach, my guide. I am who I am in large part thanks to her. So I am thrilled to have Timea with us here today to talk all about manifestation. Timea Urban, the Urban Healer, is a neurotrauma registered nurse turned certified life coach, Reiki master, and podcast host. Her passion is to help women rediscover their spark by regulating their nervous system, reprogramming their subconscious mind, and processing their trauma so they can live the yes, please, more please life. With a background as a registered nurse, she combines this clinical expertise with holistic practices to offer a truly integrated approach to healing. Timea's work is rooted in creating sustainable change by processing the root cause while safely expanding the nervous system so it can receive future manifestations. Through her private coaching, group programs, and retreats, she guides clients to overcome their limiting beliefs, past traumas, and align to their highest potential. 10 out of 10 can confirm that she delivers on everything in this bio. Timea, thank you so much for joining me here today.
My absolute pleasure. Like, you have no idea. When you asked, you're like, do you mind being on my podcast? I'm like, yes! Like, is this like a screaming yes, please? I adore you. I love chatting with you. And when you're like, do you want to talk about manifestation? I was like, why would I not say yes to this? Like, I'm just giddy. I'm so pumped to do this. So let's go.
Awesome. I love that. I love that. Well, knowing that we can chat and that we have to pay attention to time, so I'm going to dive right on in. So let's dive into manifestation. It's such a buzzword right now. And even though I have been in this space, like I think I would struggle to define really what it is. How do you define it?
So I'm not going to go like textbook. I'm not going to do how everyone else does it. And this was actually funny because when I was kind of going through some of the questions you were going to ask, I like sat with that because I was like, how would I define manifestation? And what came through, which I feel like people are going to be like, huh? What do you mean? Manifestation is the living proof of where you are and what you have. Because everything around you is a product of your manifestation. So manifestation isn't this like woo thing over there that you do sometimes. Like, manifestation is your life, actually, because everything you have manifested in some regard. Like, nothing just kind of like showed up out of the blue. So some things you manifested you didn't want. So, I mean, there is like the darker side of manifestation, but then some of the stuff you did want. So where you're living right now, like, you had an intention to have a house at some point and then you got it. Like, you are married. At one point you had this intention of like, yeah, I would like to get married. Now you're married. So everything in your surroundings is just a manifestation of something that you've created in the process of that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So whether you're manifesting something you don't want by not actively taking action or focusing on the wrong things, it's you are the creator of your life, and that's what manifestation is. I think so much of it comes back to like the law of attraction, and like, people talk about vibration and you can't be low vibe and manifest. And so I that to me that feels more like popular culture than like the true actual work. What do you where do you land on the law of attraction and that whole high vibe situation?
That bullshit. Oh, by the way, can I
Hmm.
swear?
Yes. Yeah, it's fine.
I should have asked you that earlier because I would like to every once in a while.
Mhm.
Okay. So I personally have like deep, I don't want to say hatred, but ick towards this like you have to be high vibe, positive all the time, toxic positivity. Like that actually prevents you from manifesting if you're not going to feel and process your real feelings, because you're a human and humaning is messy and hard and things come up, and that's life. So the law of attraction is essentially like attracts like. And
Yeah.
that makes sense. So why people are going to be like, well, you have to be high vibe to be able to call in what you want and desire. But then I would say it doesn't need to go that way. It has more to do with if you're ready to receive and you've done the inner work to receive, which I think is significantly more important. I know we're going to get into because that's a huge part of manifesting. It's like
Yeah.
stellar. But I would say that you don't need to be high vibe, and you are going to have bad quotations, bad days, and you're going to have big feelings and emotions, and not every day is perfect. My days aren't perfect. I'm a human as well,
Yeah.
but I'm always manifesting. So when something like throws me off, rather than being like, my manifestation's not working, everything's falling apart, I'm like, cool. Thank you, universe, for that breadcrumb, for that trigger, for that teacher being like, what do I need to clean up so then I can attract, so I can create space? Like, what are the hurdles in calling in the things that I want and desire? So the issue is never there isn't enough. The issue, and I'm not blaming anybody, but the issue is your nervous system, your subconscious mind, your beliefs on whether it's possible, and the inner stuff you need to still kind of clear in order to receive it. So, in terms of the vibrations, everything is energy, scientific fact. This is not woo. Everything. So, whether it is you, parts of you, your thoughts, your breath, your conversations, the like chair you're seated on, the other person, everything is vibration. So when things are vibrating, and this is where we're going to get into like attracts like. So when things are vibrating at a certain frequency, things that are similar will attract each other. Yes. So if you're grumpy pants, you're gonna bring out grumpy pants in someone else, and then it's a grump fest, which not ideal for manifesting. So you have to be really mindful in terms of what energy you bring to every day, even if every day is not perfect. And the vibration is more so like, think of it like you're wanting to listen to a certain song and it's at a certain station on the radio. If that is on 103.5, but you are tuned in to 98.5, well, you're not at
Right.
the right frequency to get the song and the radio station that you want. So you do need to physically change the dial to get to the right frequency. But then that raising of your vibe has nothing to do with toxic positivity and pretending you're okay. It's more getting real and dealing with the stuff that feels yuck.
Yeah, I think it's more for me about like what are you stuck in, right? Like if we have grief or anger or any of those quote unquote low vibe emotions, can I process it? Can I move through it? Can I allow myself to feel in it but not stay there, right?
Absolutely.
Because like you said, it's part of that human experience, and you have to be able to, you have to have access to the full spectrum of your emotions and feelings, and be able to bring yourself, back to that homeostasis, that stable neutral space, and then almost manifest from there, as opposed to like the frantic excited state or the really low vibe state, right? We've got to kind of be in our like in that neutral area where we can hold the joy and we can hold the grief at the same time.
Absolutely. So the image that's kind of coming through for me is who you are in this exact moment cannot be the same version of you that has all the things that you want and desire if you don't have those things now. And even
Mm,
if it's not necessarily like, oh, I'm like, I want a new partner, but you might want to be deeper in it, I don't know, a greater bond with that partner with better communication, let's say. Or like you might not be in the wrong house, but you might want to run your household differently. So it's not saying like you got to leave the house. It often has to do with your mindset, how you're showing up, and what you're doing with your time. So when you are feeling something and you're overwhelmed, you actually need to feel it. I think that's what people don't realize. So it's like if you're angry, people are scared to like lean into the anger because they're like, well, what
Right.
if I get stuck there? You won't if you fully feel it and release it and move forward. Also, this comes with practice, and we're not taught to feel feelings, especially our generation. It was like, got to be a quiet good girl, no emotions, just smile, smile and
Yeah.
nod, show down. So then we weren't really taught that. So we need to learn the basic skills of processing emotions and feeling safe in
Hmm.
our body to feel all those things because we're really disconnected. So once we do that, you're allowed to have a big thing happen in life with a lot of grief. But then rather than dropping into the why me, I'm a victim, everything's so hard, universe hates me, you can be like, interesting, big feelings. I see you, I'm going to feel you. But then once you felt those feelings, reflect on something needs to be changed. And often, what needs to be changed is your core belief that that was even possible for you. Because the reason people can't hold on to their manifestations is because they actually self sabotage or their nervous
Yeah.
system's too dysregulated, so they can't, or there's no space for it to land. So we often have this, well, what if the other shoe drops? Which, I mean, who came up with that quote? It makes no sense. I do not understand. Whose shoe is it? Where did it drop? Where's the other one? I have questions.
Well, and
Okay.
also anybody who has spouse, kids, or just their own shoe collection, we can pick up shoes,
We do.
right? Like
Okay.
I pick up shoes every day. So if
Yeah.
the other shoe drops, I am capable at picking up shoes. So
Please pick up your shoes.
yeah,
It's okay. You've got this. But we have
right.
this absolutely ridiculous belief of what if the other shoe drops? Like, what if things are really good and then I lose it? And what if it like leaves? But then that is going to completely cock block your manifestation. And that's usually what ends up happening because you're like, well, if I like sabotage myself and get rid of it, then it won't hurt so bad because I got rid of it. Oh, I'm so smart. But then it's like, wait,
Right.
but you didn't get what you wanted. You got it and you ruined it. So
Yeah.
for us to be in that state of manifestation, you do need to do your inner work. And your inner work usually lies on, do you feel like you're worthy of receiving that? Do you think it's possible for you? And I
Yep.
ask my clients this all the time, being like, oh, you want your dream partner and your dream job. I'm like, do you think that's possible? They're like, no, absolutely not. Like, there's no way I can have it all. And I'm like, okay, so that's our problem. let's
Right.
let's clean that up, please and thank you. And then it's like when you've learned to process big feelings and big emotions and the old previous ones have been repressed for a few decades and new ones, because we're going to have that humaning,
Hmm.
right? Then you become a neutral vessel. And when you're neutral, you go from a sympathetic state to a parasympathetic state. And then your nervous system can actually hold onto that additional vibration. And I think
Yeah.
that what we're not like, this isn't like pop culture. This isn't the like juicy, like beautiful Instagram worthy manifestation. Shit needs to crumble for you to become the next version. You
Yeah.
do need to let things go, and that will mean you leave the partnership that doesn't work. That does mean you have to leave the city that you don't want to live in. You sell your house, you start fresh, like you lose friends. Like
Yeah.
this sucks. And it's like you're gonna have to set boundaries. You're going to be uncomfortable in recreating who you are. And I think that like self-care and manifestation has been like romanticized where it's just like love light sparkles, and I'm like,
Right.
no, that shit's ugly and messy.
Yeah, no, there are tears and snot, and
Oh yeah,
there's
yeah.
yeah, it's I love Glennon Doyle, the author. She writes in one of her books that the word crisis actually means to sift. Like the root
Mm.
word of crisis means to sift. And so she talks about hitting rock bottom as such a gift. And like that getting tired of your own shit, right? Where you've got to be like, okay, in order to get there, something has to give. I have to be different, do something different. Like you said, move. I
Mhm.
have to, I have to peel away whatever it is that's holding me back so that I can become the person who has what I want. And I think that's so much of manifestation is, and that's I think that's why people think it's just mind work, right? That it's just like this mental, like you said, kind of that love and light, and it's all about your mindset, and it's all about, holding high vibe, because you do have to do a lot of inner work to become, but it's messy. It's a messy process.
But I will say before like this bursts everyone's bubble, they're like, oh my God, I'm never gonna manifest. This sounds messy and
Never
scary.
manifesting.
Never. Yuck. No, thank you. The beginning is really fucking hard because you don't know how to do it and you don't realize how much stuff you've never processed and how dysregulated you are because you're just caught in the Monday to Friday and then like years went by. And once you've done it and you like cleared the initial gunk, then it's
Mm-hmm.
actually not so hard. And I will also say that when you get into a regulated state, and also I don't live in like the parasympathetic state where I'm just
No.
floating. I am human. Okay.
Would
Just
be
so we're
nice.
clear.
Yeah.
Well, no, it would be boring
Oh,
actually.
that's
Like
true.
that's just not even like the purpose, right? But then when things happen that you weren't expecting, your bounce back gets so much faster. And
Mm-hmm.
like even with some of the things that I've been through the last couple months, if you would have told me like 6 months ago, a year ago, like this is going to happen, I'd be like, I'm going to be shattered. I can't function. There's 0% chance I can move on. Like that is
Yeah.
the worst case scenario. And then the worst case scenario happened and it sucked. But because I know how to feel the feelings, I actually bounced back so much faster and stronger than I thought would have been humanly possible. And like even like my
Yeah.
therapist and my close healers were like, whoa, okay. And it wasn't a toxic positivity like, we got this. It was just I know how to feel things and I trust my body and I have this insane amount of trust with the universe being like, so that sucked. I didn't like it. But I see you might be onto a better plan. And I think that's the big thing people forget about of every door that's closed, every like dead end, every no, it's not a no like you're being punished. It's
Yeah.
actually a this or something better, i.e., something better is coming. And if you are regulated enough and you trust yourself and the universe enough, then it's not so scary in waiting because you're like, okay, so I just need to do a little bit more inner work, or like maybe I need to rest a little bit and then it's
Yeah.
coming, and what's coming is going to be even better and at the right time. Hmm. Okay, okay, okay. So
Yeah.
it takes a lot of work to have the patience though.
Yeah. I was just actually talking to my 16-year-old about this, about how there are things that I spent time on, like in college, and I was like, ugh, that was kind of wasted. Like I was in a social sorority and whatever. But with the hindsight of 24 years, past my college days, um, I can see that it was foundational. It wasn't a like a side quest. It wasn't a distraction. It was actually foundational, and it did actually lead me to the next thing, which led me to the next thing, which led me to the thing, and all of it adds up to make me who I am now. And so even though you may not understand for years why something has happened and had to happen, in hindsight you can go, gosh, that catapulted me, that forced me to do the healing, to do the work, to leave the relationship, to whatever. And now 10 years down the road, I can see my life is so much better, and now I see why it all played out. So it's not even like, okay, I processed the bad emotions and I can immediately see the silver lining. Sometimes it takes a long time for you to see all of the pieces and go, oh, the universe knew. Even then, like the universe was setting me up for this thing 10 years later so that I would have the compassion, so that I would have the empathy, so that I would understand what this person is going through and I can support them because I've already been there. So it's,
Absolutely. And I
yeah.
think that's a big, like, star underline. Please don't forget, this is a fact. The universe actually never says no to you. The universe is like this ultimate nurturing mom that wants
Mm,
everything for you. And if you
yeah.
have kiddos, you're not going to be like, I want your life to be good, but not great. So I'm just going to take it down a notch. Like, God, like that, what? no, like,
Right.
I didn't do that with my dog. I'm like, you need to have the best life ever. I did not birth her. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it's a deeper sensation if you birth something
Yes.
too. So that being said, if something doesn't go your way, the universe is just saying, not right now. Something better is coming. And like, please trust me. And
Yeah.
sometimes, often, always, we just need a little bit more work. And the work isn't being stuck in that, like striving for perfection. I'll get it when I'm perfect, because that's not true. It's knowing how to roll with the punches, how to process the punches, how to expand your nervous system, get regulated, rest, create the space.
Yeah.
And then when it comes, you can actually receive it. And that, I think, is important for us to remember. And also, even though we think we're the bee's knees, we are simply human. And our awareness of the possibilities
Yeah.
that are out there, we don't even know a percent of what's possible. So then you're making decisions with this like little tiny, like, I don't know, like cover over your eyes. You're like, these are my only options. Okay, I'll choose that one. And the universe is like, there's so much out there. Don't choose
Right. Turn around.
or take off the blinder thing. Like, no. So that, I think we need to, I think, be reminded and be humbled that we are simply human.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we've laid our foundation. We know we've got to do healing, but how do we start manifesting while we're walking that healing path? Like I've been in a couple of your containers and I'm curious, like, what would you tell people are the steps that you walk through, and are those steps different depending on what you're trying to manifest?
Okay. Make sure I come back to the second question, because I feel like the first
Okay.
question is going to take us on a tangent. So like a
Okay.
little
Got it.
there.
Yep.
Okay. So first things first, what do you want? And this is very important, because it's what do you want, not what do you not want. Because we're really good at being like, I don't like this, I don't like this is hard, this is bad. And it's like, I hate my job, I hate my partnership, I hate my body. And it's like, what would be the perfect version? What would be the ideal dream version of that? And then people are like deer in headlights being like, I don't know. And then I was like, okay, so you're not going to manifest anything other than more of what you don't want, because that's what you're thinking about. And that's where your energy
Right.
and your focus is. So, first things first, this might take you a moment. So, this isn't like, okay, first step done. Like, this may take you a while. What do you want? And it's interesting because one thing that I do with my one on one clients is a dream life hypnosis. And with my coaching containers, they're usually 3 months long, at least, if not longer. And most people will wait until like session 9 or 10 to even touch it, because they're so frazzled, overwhelmed, and like scared to even say what they want out loud. And like that's like what and I will also call myself out, because when somebody asks me that question, like, what would your dream life look like, I was kind of like, well, I guess I would have a bigger condo in Toronto, and I guess I would have more balance in my nursing job. And it's like, do you want that? I'm like, no. And they're like, okay, so you're doing this exercise wrong.
Right.
But then I was taught, like, you deal with what you got and you have gratitude because you are lucky and people have less than you, and you better shut up and not ask for more. And that isn't manifesting.
Well, and it goes hand in hand with, what do you believe you can actually have?
Absolutely. 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 And that's why when you're working with me one on one, most of the sessions are clearing the clutter and regulating you, and like, what are the limiting beliefs you don't even know are in there because you think that's just how life is, but that's not how life is. And then you get into like, what do you actually want and desire? But then there's going to be like the rebound of, who do you think you are to have that? You're asking for too much. You are greedy. People will judge you. People will hate you. You will lose it all. And then we're like, okay, all right. Humans are so interesting. I mean, I'm glad I will never not have a job because there's so many
Well,
layers.
What's funny is I'm like, are you reading from my coaching notes from the last 9 months that we worked together? Because like
No,
it's
I'm reading from the coaching notes of the hundreds of people I've coached because y'all are
right.
all the same. But you are special and I love you, but in this regard, you're not.
No, that's
Yeah. So, first things first, what do you want? And in case this is a hard question, hey, let's be real, let's be messy humans. What do you not want? And then flip it to the positive. That's an
right.
easy way of starting. Because
Yeah.
again, we have a negativity bias. This is how our brains are created. We are primitive beings, and that part of our nervous system is still there. And that kept us alive thousands of years ago. Now it kind of sucks and doesn't help us, but we're going to work with what we got. So once you know what you actually want, then you're going to have a hot second and like a real talk with yourself of one, like, am I being that person now? And I think this is something that comes up all the time of act as if, but it's act as if, not spend as if. There's a difference
Mm,
there.
yes.
So please don't get caught in that. And like, hey, if you can afford it, do it. But if it's gonna like really put you back, then like you're not in alignment with what you're creating. So
Yeah.
when you're going to lean into act as if, so let's say you want to focus on your health. If you want to focus on your health, we all know what we need to do to be healthy. Like this is actually like pretty clear common sense. It doesn't need to be done in a certain way, but are you staying up really late at night scrolling and then your sleep sucks? Well, act as if, get your little cute butt to bed and put your phone away. What are you eating? We all know what we should eat, and this isn't like a shame should, but in a don't have high sugar processed crap, but eat
Yeah.
whole foods. And that doesn't mean like broccoli and chicken every single day. Like you do what you want to do, like, get creative, but like you need to nourish your body. What kind of water are you drinking? I'm like, if anyone gives me tap water, I'm like, I mean, it's gonna be a no for me. Drink from the toilet instead, okay? Like hard no. But like, what kind of water are you drinking?
Yeah.
How, like, what are you doing for your mental health? You do not need to get up at 5 a.m. and chant and do breath work and like yoga. You can do 5 minutes of like meditation, hand on your heart, go for a walk. Like there's just so many different ways of taking care of yourself, but then start doing those things and don't do like a complete overhaul where all of a sudden you're eating completely differently and like you're just pushing yourself in all the different ways. Like that's not sustainable. It's these little tiny things and like make a list. What could you do? Which one feels the easiest? Then add another one, habit stack. But you have to really get clear on that. Check your mindset. If you're trying to manifest more money, but you have no idea about your own numbers, you have not logged into your online banking, you're just kind of like not looking at the numbers. I'm just like, oh, what's the minimum payment? Oh, like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, money's gonna not come to you because you're not respecting what you have and you're not taking the responsibility, the radical responsibility for where you
Yeah.
are right now. And are you gonna have like bags of cash falling from the sky? I mean, I hope you do. That would be wonderful. But check your mindset. How often do we hear, look how expensive groceries are? Look at that recession. Everything is so expensive. This is that. And if
Yeah.
you get caught in that, then energetically you're still in the scarcity. Are you going to be like, I'm a millionaire, everything's great, when you're not, and your body's like, lies, I don't feel that. But you need
Right.
to check your like verbiage. So, can you afford everything? No. But you can just been like, I'm choosing not to buy that right now. You know what I mean? Like there's tweaks you can have in your mindset.
Yeah. I like approaching it from an identity perspective as
Yes.
opposed to necessarily how do I want to say this? Like like when trying to change a habit and becoming that person, it's less about focusing on what you do, but if you focus first on who you think you are, right? So, like, I am a healthy person with healthy habits. If you can lock into that belief, then the healthy habits flow as opposed to I'm a slob and a couch potato, but I'm going to try and eat better, and I'm going to try and do this, and I'm going to that, like, but if you change your identity first,
Yeah.
or focus on that work
Yeah.
of, I am a spiritual person connected to the divine. I am a perfect match for my partner or whatever, right? But if you can lock into that I am statement and change that core belief, then the habits and the act as if comes a little bit easier.
Absolutely. And I think that's something that we don't realize because we're always trying to change the external world, but that it has nothing to do with the external world. It has to do with your internal world. So your
Hmm.
core beliefs, your subconscious, your nervous system. And when you change the inner, then it's reflected to you. So it's like all the things you don't like on your outer world, those are the things you need to clean up on your inner world. And you
Yeah.
can't shame change, you can't force change, you can't discipline change. Change comes because you desire it and you know it's possible. And like one thing that I've started doing that was like an insane game changer, anything that you're doing, so whether it is your skincare, whether it's your workout, whether it's what you're eating, in your head, literally repeat, it's working, it's working, it's
I like
working,
that.
it's
Hmm.
working. Because how often, and like I've done this where I'm at the gym, I am pushing it 110%. I may die. Okay. I am trying so hard. And
Yeah.
this is like back in the day when I actually did insane workouts because I don't do those anymore. I like my Pilates now, but pushing. And then I'm like, it's not working anyways. It's never going to work. I know it's not going to work. It's not going to work. Why am I even bother? It's not working. And then it's like, your body's like, okay, I guess we'll make sure it doesn't work. I don't understand what's happening here,
Right.
you
Right.
know? And even if you are going to have, like, let's say a cookie, you're not going to be like, I'm disgusting. I can't believe I'm doing this. I'm ruining my diet. This is the worst thing I could have done. I'm like, hey, cookie. Yeah, I'm going to enjoy you.
It's working.
Yeah. It's like everything's fine because if I'm taking care of my body most of the time, you can have the fucking cookie and your life will not fall apart. So
Right.
if you don't let yourself go into shame and guilt, which is going to activate your nervous system, which is going to make you hold on to the fat, then you just had food and that's fine.
Yeah.
So it's like that tweak is a really, really important thing.
I like
Now,
that.
you have to clean up your life. And this is like the scary, hard part because your nervous system is literally trained and its entire purpose is to make sure nothing changes. Even if things aren't where you want them to be, your nervous system's like, don't change.
Hmm.
Oh, he's an awful human being in your life. That's okay. You just keep it because you know what you're expecting, you know what's coming, there's no surprises. Change equals bad, equals uncertainty, equals you're going to die, which you're not going to.
Yeah.
So you have to go through an ego death, which is a death, and it's scary. And you're going to grieve your old identity. And it's like this complete mind fuck, which is why like you should probably be working with somebody when you're going into those bigger manifestations. Because if you would have been able to do it on your own, you would have already done that on your own. And I have
Mm.
also not done it on my own. I've had coaches for years. And then, I mean, I've invested an insane amount of money, but then I've also been able to quantum leap and make that money back. So it makes sense.
Yeah.
But you have to get rid of the things that are keeping you stuck. And that, like, that is hard as a human. And that's when
Yeah.
your fear really comes in because you're like, shoot, should I divorce my partner? That's a huge deal. Shoot, should I sell my house and move somewhere else? Like completely away from everyone else? Well, that's scary and that's a risk. Like, oh my gosh. And it's like sometimes you get this like wake up where, I mean, I personally think one of the hardest things of growing and manifesting is actually the friend breakups because those ones
Mm.
as women burn more. Like it's just, you don't
Yeah.
realize who actually isn't rooting for you, who actually is triggered by your joy, who's actually trying to like take you down a notch because it's triggering them because you've actually done the work and things are moving. So
Yeah.
you are going to lose friendships. Your relationships with other people are going to change because if you're the people pleaser with no boundaries and all of a sudden you're respecting yourself and your time, the people who are like you're my doormat, they're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. What do you mean it's a
Right.
no? So that, like, there's a lot that needs to change. And again, it's harder in the beginning and you kind of get used to it. But as you develop that insane trust with the universe and you know you are worthy of everything you desire, then you're kind of like, ooh, that sucked. Okay, I trust. Let's keep going. And then, like, the moment you remove those like energy vampires from your life, what's wild is like it's almost like instantaneous. Something insanely better will drop into your life.
Yeah.
And it's like sometimes I'm like, did that just happen? Like I went through a bit of a funny friend breakup not too long ago, like a couple weeks ago. It was like a long time coming, but I need to put on my big girl pants and actually like face it, and it kind of sucked, I'm gonna be honest. And it's
Yeah.
like the moment this person left my life, I had this like this new community dropped into my life, and it's come with such high level, high caliber, inspiring women that I was like, whoa, are you kidding me? And it's like completely pivoted that part
Yeah.
of my life. And it was like within like 3 days, I became aware of this community. They happened to be having an event 2 days after that. And then they were like, everything just went ding, 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 ding. And I was like, oh, all right, here we are.
There you go.
Wild. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that would be the next step. Then I would say you need to do the maintenance work in terms of holding on to what you have. Because when life gets easy and better and abundant, you are going to be triggered because you're like, that damn shoe's going to come back. Okay. Or the other shoe's going to drop. Now it's another, there's shoes everywhere. Okay. So you do need to constantly check in with yourself of, are you maintaining your nervous system? But then also, let's say you get really good manifesting money. That doesn't mean you stop working on money because there's layers. And that's not a, you're never done. Oh my God, this is so hard. It's just humaning. Like, I mean, I could not touch my bathroom, but it would still get dirty. You still need to clean it. You know, it's
Yeah.
just like, oh, I didn't touch anything. I'm like, you still need to take a shower, like at every once in a while. So it's not, it's not a like it's never done. It's just that's how life is. You need to maintain. And then you also just need to make sure that all the things that you're wanting to call in actually have a space to land. So, in case you're an entrepreneur and you want to call in more clients, your cute button better not be being like, I'm so busy, I'm so tired, there's so much I need to do, this is so hard. Because then you were just like, all right, I'll just hold back those dream clients. Like, I'm not going to open up the floodgates. So then when you get regulated, remove those energy vampires so you get your energy back. You get clear on what you want, which brings you excitement because now you know it's there and it's coming. Then you know things are going to come into your life, but then you need to make the space. You might remember this before I even knew I was going to move. I was like a crazy person decluttering, and I started like packing, and
Yeah.
people are like, where are you going? And I was like, I don't know, but I'm moving. And they're like, where are you moving to? I'm like, I don't know. It's figuring itself out. I know I'm moving. I don't know where or when or any of the details, but I'm just going to start the process because I'm
Right.
taking inspired action.
I
And everyone
remember
was like,
that.
you're nuts. But then randomly, when I had to sell my house, or well, I chose to sell my condo, it was like, could you clear out your condo today? And I was like, yeah, because I already decluttered and everything's packed. And they're like, whoa, you did that fast. And I was like, I know, because I knew it was coming. I just didn't know from where. And
Yeah.
you're going to be the crazy person.
Yeah. And I love you that you mentioned the maintenance, because I think like I would not consider myself a master manifester. And I was in preparation for this conversation, I was kind of sitting with that, like, but what I have not done is stay focused on the manifestation, right? I
Yeah.
was in one of your group containers almost a year ago,
Wow.
and right, and I was like, I did all the work and got clear on what I wanted, and then it went like into the journal and into the drawer, and life, got busy, and working on other things and whatever. And I haven't like really come back. And so I wonder if I come back, one, if I have actually manifested more than I think that I have, maybe, but
Mhm.
also it's not a one-time thing, right? It's or a 6-week thing. It's a staying focused and committed to it until it until it comes, even though it may be months, years in the making. And so um, I think that that's a really unsexy and overlooked step in that manifestation process is exactly how long did it take you to make that first million? Exactly how long did it you didn't just wake up and be like, I want to be $1 million podcaster and coach and it happened in 3 months. Maybe it did, but also what was the foundation that that person started from, right? Did they already
Absolutely.
have a thriving other business and in their pivot they were able to do that? So I think that there's um the maintenance piece is under emphasized in the process.
But I want to say about the maintenance piece because I know, like, back in the day when I was still newer to manifesting, I got caught in, like, how do I say this? So it's like we get caught in this is the ritual, and you have to do this ritual for the end of time. And then
Mm,
it gets really like mundane and it feels like a chore. It's not fun. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, but I got to write out my affirmations like 108 times while chanting. Like, like, no, you don't
yeah.
actually. So please know that your maintenance gets to change because you change and your life changes and the seasons change. So maybe in the summer you want to journal outside and the sun is hitting your face and this is so amazing. I don't want to do that in January because it's cold, you know? And
Right.
it's like that's okay. So your maintenance changes as you change depending
Hmm.
like where are we in the year, what season of your life are you in, where are you in your menstrual cycle, like there's like my maintenance during my like menstrual phase is probably sleeping more, and that's
Yeah.
fine because I'm taking care of my body. So know that it gets to change, and even when you're like I'm focusing on my health, you might be really gung ho on like physical strength for a little while, but then you go into like flexibility and like stretching and mobility, and that's still maintenance. And then there's
Yeah.
going to be moments of rest because you're human and we need to rest. So, a huge thing that I think is missed is that. But then you need to have patience because things come at a different pace, but it's not to punish you, it's because you're not ready yet. And I laugh, not funny, but laugh. So when the Olympics were on, there was a woman who was on TV, and
Hmm.
I'm obviously not going to drop her name, but she's a big person, and she was one of my clients, and I couldn't hold the energy of holding space for her because she was famous when this was like in like 2020, okay? And I like felt so unsure of myself. I didn't work on my confidence yet. I'm like, oh my God, but she's like someone really important. And like, it was just randomly, she was referred to me. And like, I knew a lot of influencers and this and
Yeah.
this and this. And then it was like, I essentially fumbled the relationship and like, I didn't get back to her in time. And then things just kind of fizzled. But it's because I needed to do my inner work. And then I'm like watching the Olympics and I'm literally like, that could have been my client for the last 4 years, but I didn't have space to receive her because I didn't. And then
Yeah.
even like if you are a business owner, you're like, oh my God, I want to make that 10 grand, everyone wants the 10 grand a month. But then I'm like, wait, can you have that many clients this month? Like, do you even have your system set up for that?
Yeah.
Like, if you don't have an assistant and all of a sudden you had 5,000 people sending you a message being like, I want to book you, can you handle that? Because we often can't. So, slow and steady is
Yeah.
not bad. It's like a safety mechanism, I think, for the universe so you don't like crumble and like shut down.
Yeah. Do you think that's one of the biggest things that stand in people's way? Like one of the biggest obstacles that you see is in that trust and patience phase?
I think people don't have that, would it be grit? Everyone wants instant gratification. Everyone wants that Amazon delivery to be delivered yesterday. Everyone wants it tomorrow. But then if you're going to get really honest with yourself, like even if you're like, I want to meet my dream partner tomorrow, have you done the inner work on like loving yourself and knowing how to receive love
Mm,
and heal your attachment wounds? Because that's not you. You could have already met your dream partner, but then you're like, he's too boring and he's too vanilla because you're still so in your bad boy daddy trauma crap that like you would,
addicted to the chaos. Yeah.
I mean, like you don't even know, like your dream person's right there and he seems boring, but then you're so dysregulated that like it would have missed. So the patience absolutely is a huge part, and like the trust. And like I'll kind of share like in terms of like my story, when people were like, yeah, the universe is like this beautiful maternal energy. I have like severe mother wounds. Like I was like, I had a
Yeah.
shitstorm of a childhood. Like no one came. No one rescued me. Nothing was consistent. Like, so for me to be like, someone's going to hold energy and space for you, I'm just like, the fuck they are. No one's coming. Like, it's not how it
Yeah.
works. Maybe for somebody else. So then it's like you still have to heal that core wound. But then once you do, and I mean, for me, like it doesn't even need to be like therapy, it can be coaching in terms of nervous system and subconscious, but then getting Reiki certified. You then get connected to the universe because you've never felt that, and now you can feel it. Learning how to read your records. When you
Yeah.
open up the records, it's like you feel it from a somatic like experience and like an actual real sensation. So it's not just something over there. It's like, oh no,
Yeah.
no, I felt it. And that makes it, I think, easier to stick to.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. All right. We put a pin in this. So I want to circle back real quick as we
I was just
are
gonna say, I'm like,
paying
there was a
it.
pin somewhere.
Paying attention to our time. Do you have a different process depending on what you're trying to manifest?
Okay, so if it's something like really big, I mean, let's say I want to like triple my income, that is going to take a little bit longer because there needs to be more of like a setup and like kind of like of course, I'm going to have an airplane analogy come through. My husband's in the Air Force, that's why. So it's like you just need a longer runway. So if I
Yeah.
want to significantly increase my income, I'm going to have to be really clear on who's my team. Is my team up to par? What are my systems? I've had many struggles with systems. Blessings, blessings. So it's like, do you have the right systems? Do you have the right automations? And then it's like, for example, I just redid all of my programs. So all of my certifications, Reiki, Akashic Records, a couple others, I redid everything. That took time.
Yeah.
Okay. Like you need to record, you need to edit, you need to like plan it out, update the manuals. I physically could not have done that faster than I did because I still have a full roster of clients and there's still life and I don't work 7 days a week. And even though I worked way more than like 4 days a week, I'll be very honest, it was a
Yeah.
full time thing. But you need to have a longer runway. And like with some things, you need to do research. So for me, like right now, I'm not incorporated. My ass has to be incorporated if I'm pulling in significantly more amounts of money because I'm already bleeding half of it to the government, which it
Yeah.
is what it is. So then it's like I need to do my due diligence to get clear on my financial planning. Where's the money going to? What are the best ways? Like setting up a corporation is going to be different for Canadians and US, but there's so many different ways you can incorporate. I have to get the right lawyers. Like that's going to cost some
Yeah.
money. So there's a little bit more that's super unsexy and uncomfortable that you need to do in order to make that happen.
Well, and I think that um that's an important piece to maybe kind of wrap up our conversation here as we're you're right my outline should have been a two-parter, Timea. Um
Just
but
make it
but
next time, guys.
but I think that on Instagram it's that I asked for something and the universe delivered. There is work that has to happen. And it's not just inner work. It
Mhm.
is, okay, I have a role to play. It's a like manifestation is a co creation. It's not just the universe giving you what you want, the universe is like, you have to have skin in the game too.
Yeah.
And it may be like 80-20, right? The universe is going to handle 80% of it, but you still have 20% that you have to do in your systems, in your research, in taking steps, in doing the thing that makes you uncomfortable. We were talking before I hit record. That's the point that I'm kind of at in my business, is I know to grow, I have to do this thing that just makes me contract. And so my work is on, again, it's that inner work so that I can do in the 3D world actions that I need to do of making the phone calls and going to the places and doing the things.
Mhm.
So I think that it is an active process. It's not a passive process,
Totally.
both for our internal world and for our external world, that it takes effort.
But it also takes time. And I think
Hmm.
that with social media, with Amazon, we have this absolute ridiculous understanding of how time works, where
Hmm.
it's like, well, that needs to be done tomorrow. It's like just done. But like, for example, if I'm tripling my income, my ass needs to hire multiple more people. That takes time. And like,
Hmm.
you can't just be like, I don't know you. It's like, do you know what you're doing? Will you grow with my business? I'm investing in you. I don't want to have to rehire. That takes time. You want to change your body type. You're not going to go to the gym once and then get abs. And also you need to maintain that. And that takes time. And it's like, we don't
Yeah.
understand that. It's so funny. I made this analogy once and people were like, whoa, that really made sense. We have an Instant Pot. Everyone has an Instant Pot. Yes, we do. It's amazing. Love it. You still need the chicken to cook. It's actually not instant. That's a lie. Is it less time? Yes. But you
Yeah.
still need to cook the chicken. And again, Instagram's fake. It's not a real representation of how things run. You don't know how much work people have done. People sometimes just share the good parts. I mean, I try to be really real and share like the not so pretty parts just to keep things like even. But there's a
Yeah.
lot of things I don't share because that's my personal life, right?
Well, and your point about perception, like there's a couple of influencers that I follow and I love following them, but I can tell how much time has passed because I remember following them when their youngest child was like a baby, like toddler, still with, like a pacifier. And
Mhm.
now they're going to middle school. And I'm like, holy crap, I have been following this person for 10 years. And I don't stop and think about that because
Yep.
I remember when they started their business and now I see where their business is now. And in
Yeah.
my brain, that happened like last year. But then I can go, no, I've been following them since like that person was a tiny human. And so you just don't realize, like, we've been working together for over 4 years now.
Yeah.
How, like, I am three different people in the last 4 years,
More
like
than that, below.
truly
You've had
more
more than that many ego deaths. Rest
more
in peace.
than more than that. But like, that feels like I can still remember the first workshop that I was in with you, and
Yeah.
it feels like yesterday. And so that time, what is time perspective is is so so true as we're watching externally from somebody else, and you go, oh my god, how has that been a month? And you don't see the grit that happened in between those two snapshots that you have of somebody else.
And for the record, I'm pretty sure one of the first offerings you were in, I I had my condo, but I was living with my family because of my dog and COVID, and my dog needed a backyard. I was in the basement of my family's house, kneeling on the floor while my computer was on the couch, and it was like just gritty. My dog was walking around behind, like there was like boxes, like just so we're clear. Okay.
I don't necessarily
I will
remember
find
that,
a
but
screenshot
again,
of this.
I was in my own process for sure because
I
that
know
was
you
what I was
know
there
this. I
for.
really didn't care. And obviously my price point was
Yeah.
significantly different when I was kneeling on the fucking ground. Okay. But like
Love
this is
that.
true. And we don't realize how long it took. Cause then everyone's in their own shit. And then all of a sudden you see somebody when they've like popped off, but then the popping off took a moment, and like a
Hmm.
moment was more than a moment, and that's okay. So just please honor the process. It's working even when it looks like it's not. It's like you plant a seed. Are you going to stare into the ground and you see nothing because it's the winter? That's a really silly way of spending your time. Don't do that. But is it not working? It is working.
Right.
So that's where we need to just, check yourselves and be like, is that a realistic expectation of how quickly this is going to go?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Rapid fire questions here at the end, if we can manage rapid fire. We both like words.
Love
Um,
to say I like Rebe.
can you manifest something for someone else? Because I get that question a lot of, I really want my partner to get a new job, or I really want somebody to have better health or something like that. Can you actually manifest that for somebody else?
Great question. I'm going to say no because everyone has free will and everyone has their own stuff. And it's like you need to ask yourself, like, do you have your own reward? I mean, obviously, if your partner has a better job, that's going to benefit you. And not that your partner doesn't want the job, but then can you just hold space for them to do their own manifesting and show them? Because you
Yeah.
can't do it for them. And actually, there's some books. I don't know if I believe in this per se, but if you do someone else's inner work, then you get that karma and they get the karma and you both need to heal that again. So I'm
Mm,
not saying don't help people, like don't overanalyze this sentence for the love of God, okay? But
right.
be a supportive person who holds space and like show them how to get regulated, show them how to get clear on their intentions, help them, like let's say if they're working extra hours, you take over dinner. So I don't think you should be manifesting something for them, but you can manifest together. So you can have a joint Pinterest board or like a joint something that you're working on. But then everyone has their own inner work to do. And even if you want something for your kids, like they do need to learn and struggle and go through that. Otherwise, they won't be able to hold when it like arrives.
Well, and again, circle back to the beginning of our conversation. You have to get tired of
Yeah.
your own crap to change. And so if something is done for you all the time, we all know somebody who's been maybe
Maybe.
overindulged, yeah, babied, and
Mhm.
they've never had to work for anything. And so they appreciate nothing.
I'm pretty sure
And
there's
they're
a generation of humans like that right now who don't know what it's like to have resilience, have grit, to fail, to be given criticism, to have to show up. It's like
right.
hashtag self care. I'm like, no, you're an adult, show up.
Right, right. Like you can't just bail because something is a little bit hard or whatever. So if we steal somebody's
Yeah,
struggle, then we are robbing them of that opportunity that the universe is trying to give them to get tired of their own shit
absolutely.
so that they can do that inner work so that they can become the next version of who
You
they need
can
to be.
help support the environment. So, hey, babe,
Absolutely.
let's do breath work together. Hey, babe, it looks like you're struggling. Let's go for a walk. Hey, babe, I treated you to a massage. Like, there's things you can do to support, but it's not your job. Also, I'm pretty sure you're manifesting your own shit and you have your own like internal struggles. So, it's like keep your eyes on your own lane.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Was that
Do
rapid
you,
fire?
Yeah, well, we're gonna skip the other little questions because I think we've touched on a lot of them, right? That manifestation is, to me, it's hand in hand with spiritual growth.
Yeah.
And because you have to grow, like we've said, you have to grow into the person that that can hold space for those better, juicier, more amazing things.
But
So,
also, manifestation doesn't need to be spiritual because if you have like a
mm,
religious trauma, you
mhm.
don't need, it's like everyone has like a vision of what that is. So it's like you don't need to be like kneeling in church praying to God if that's like not your thing. But then you also
Yeah.
don't need to be like a hipster yogi with like dreadlocks in Bali. Like you could be a plain Jane regular human and still be manifesting.
Soccer mom, right? Like suburban
There
soccer
you
mom
go.
here.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So it's like don't let the spiritual stuff be like, but I'm not spiritual. I don't know what Reiki is. Akashic records. What? Like that actually means nothing. Just sort your mindset, handle your energy, and like keep moving forward with rest.
What is your favorite manifestation to date?
Stumped on this. Okay, this was hard because I'm like, should I be like, oh, my husband? But I'm like,
I
I
was
feel
going to
like I'm
say, it's not the mister.
no. I was like, don't tell him. It's my dog. Just kidding. I actually think my best manifestations have always been house related because they were so defying the odds. So, like, even when I manifested my first home, the fact that I was able to purchase that made no sense because I was a single woman in the city working as a nurse and my family did not help me out. So, like, I did it on my
Yeah.
own. So I was like, I want keys before Christmas. And I started looking in November, and people are like, are you unwell? Bidding wars, like closing time. And I was like, I don't care. I want it. And I got it. And then when I was like, I'm selling the condo, I wrote down the number I wanted and when I wanted to sell it by. And I sold it 4 grand under the price that my real estate agents, who I love and they're amazing, were like, I don't know if that's possible. I'm like, but it is. And then I got
Yeah.
it. And then it's like, now I'm living in a house in the country. I'm on a base, which is not how I thought was going to be the house, to be very honest. And I was like, "Rah, rah, rah," kicking and screaming. But then this is actually exactly the house I wanted and needed. And energetically, it's that, even though it didn't look like the package I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And the reason I say this, the house part is almost like a metaphorical example of the universe holding me and keeping me safe and giving me a space to land. Because every time I had those upgrades in homes, were what allowed me to feel safe and land and manifest absolutely everything else. So I'm going to say
I
the
love
house
that.
was always the favorite manifestation,
Yeah.
which obviously it got me to leave Toronto, which is how I met my husband. So he's still in there.
I was going to say it's foundational for all of those big, having followed you,
Yeah.
having been a part of your world for the last 4 years. No, every move that you've made has truly been that, has been foundational and the launching pad for the next thing.
And every single move was an upgrade, and every single move didn't make sense. So for me to get into that condo didn't make sense. For me to sell and get the price I wanted didn't make sense. For us to get this house and like its location and the timing, it never made sense, but it's not supposed to.
I love that. Okay. So, Timea, I'm going to ask you the question that I love to ask all of my guests, and then let's wrap up with what you have coming up and where people can find you. So, what lights you up or feels really supportive in your system from root to crown right now?
So this always changes, but right now what came to mind was doing Pilates. And I live in the country, so this was hard to find like a proper Pilates studio because I
Mm-hmm.
want reformer. But I've really gone deep into getting one-on-one sessions for Pilates, one-on-one personal training,
Mm-hmm.
because I need my vessel to be as absolutely strong as possible, given all the things that I'm currently manifesting. Because
Yeah.
that's, wow, this is a theme. Because I'm now going to be the house of holding the next level manifestations that are coming
Yeah.
personally and professionally. So
Yeah.
that is like my absolute number one thing that I'm focused on, of like, how can I be the strongest, healthiest, most stable, most regulated version of myself? And for me, moving big emotions is working out, but then
Yeah.
also staying regulated and healthy is the same thing.
And Pilates is so zen because it's you have to be so focused on your body, and it's such about like
Oh,
like a degree shift in your posture, and it works at an entirely different muscle that you didn't even know existed and is going to hurt like hell the next day. So
oh, for days. So I'm
love
like, what is that inner thigh sensation? I was like, ah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
love. I love Pilates. I love
so
Pilates.
good. So good.
So okay, so where can people find you? How can they work with you right now?
Okay, absolutely. So my website is theurbanhealer.ca. I'm in Canada, so up north. You can also find me on Instagram. It's the_urban_healer. Please send me a DM. I love chatting with you guys. I have a podcast. It's called Discover Your Joy. I absolutely love my podcast. It's like one of my favorite things to do ever. So you can always catch me there. In terms of what's coming up right now, I always have my Reiki level 1 and 2 certifications, so you can do them on your own. They're fully supported. Don't worry. Reiki Master starts in September, but you can have an extended payment plan, and there's like 11 hours of content before. You can get you can get Akashic Record certified. And then I also obviously do one-on-one coaching. So if you're curious, let me know. Group coaching is coming in early 2025. And stay in my DMs. Say hi.
Awesome. Yeah, I will put links to all of those things in the show notes. I If you've followed me for a while, you know that I have linked to Timea, and like I said, I've worked with her for 4 years, so can confirm 5 stars. If you're looking for a coach or are just curious, I would recommend anything that Timea puts out without
Yeah.
hesitation. I thank you so much for joining me here today, Timea. I loved our conversation. I knew it was going to be full of laughter and tangents, and it's exactly what I wanted. So I hope that everybody who tunes in enjoyed it as much as I did. So thank you so much for joining me on this episode of From Root to Crown. I hope today's exploration of manifestation with my amazing guest, Timea, has offered you valuable insights and a deeper connection to your own journey. Remember, you are your own medicine, your own teacher. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, share, and leave a review. And I look forward to continuing this journey with you in our next episode. Until then, be gentle with yourself and stay connected to the wisdom.